death, and aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
And how are you?
Oh my God. Oh, I was like, I had a story already and then I forgot it. Um, so very exciting news. Um,
Ooh,
Today, which is not the day that you guys watching this will see this. It's about solidly a month later. But today, as of today, my brother-in-law is officially a US citizen.
I saw that! That's so exciting.
I'm so happy for him. He's
I
so
straight up didn't even notice you didn't talk about that in the first episode because I saw
no.
all of y'all's posts like right before
Yeah.
the recording.
Yeah, so my parents went down for the weekend and surprised my sister and my brother-in-law. They went to Houston, surprised them. And they stayed for today for his oath ceremony. And so yeah, so he is officially an American.
I'm so
Um,
happy for him.
I'm so happy. He was so excited. There I have like 85 pictures of him like just waving little flags, being so cute. But I thought it was so sweet. Because there was my dad said there was 1,643 people at the oath ceremony from 99 different countries.
I saw that.
And I think that with everything that's like going on in the country right now, I like that just like made me so happy. It made my
Yeah.
heart so happy.
It's nice when a good thing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like oh, Jeffrey doesn't like a crying face because like in our family group chat and everything, like he was like thanking them for like showing up because they had to fly home today. And my dad said it was our pleasure to spend time with you. It was great to see your like shop because he just opened his own auto shop. It's great to see your shop coming along. And he's like,
Oh,
and
nice.
he said, and we will always be there for all of our kids' special moments. And Jeffrey just sent like a crying face back.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So, so yeah, so today was a good day.
He's
Um,
such good people. I liked him. I've only
yeah,
met him at your wedding,
yeah, he
but
is. He's
he's the
he's
only reason I got to eat at your wedding during the day. Not at your actual wedding,
yeah.
but the week of your wedding. I think he's the only reason I got to eat. Because every time, everyone was so busy all the time, and I was like, I'm just so hungry, but we have to go do this other thing. And I was like doing the bookmarks, and he goes, Have you eaten? And I was like,
Yeah.
No, but he's like, I'm making everyone food. I brought this. This is for everyone. Everyone
Yeah.
eats some of this. And I was
Yeah,
like,
he does. He does
Thank
that.
God.
He'll like make like he'll be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go heat this up for the girls."
Yeah,
And the next thing you know, he walks in with 4 plates of food of
that
everything
is
that's in the entire
100%
fridge
what
heated up. He was like, "Oh, I made this for all of you." It's like, "What?"
that is 100% what happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I don't
He's
think I eat the rest of the day till
that Arab hospitality, it is like anytime that they tell you that like cultural stereotypes are not real, they are, and he cannot fight them.
I.
He no matter what he
It
does,
was so
he
funny.
cannot fight them. Um, no, he's good people. We love him.
Mhm.
Um, I was sad when we were all in Florida last week. He was not, or last month, he was not there. I was sad.
Mm. I'm
But
glad I didn't know he was opening up his own auto shop.
yeah, he and his brother. So
Oh, that's exciting.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, love
So
that.
good news over here in the Lodic clan.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
yeah. How are you?
Um, I'm
Hmm.
more tired than I've been in a while, but that's okay. Because that's not what I'm here to talk about. Because it's June, what better time than now to talk about football?
Did you see that Aaron Rodgers got signed to the Steelers?
Yes, and that's who he was gonna go with in the very beginning, and then he did this whole little rigmarole to get this like this. I hate him so
I
much.
know. James
I
Cook
hate him
showed
so
James
much.
Cook showed up to minicamp today.
Oh, good for him. That means
Yeah.
he's in.
Yeah. So,
Child went to the Texans. Somebody made a big deal about it. I was like, so, so he left the Browns and went to the Texans. So there's no real change.
no.
This doesn't feel like a big deal. Um, but it all of this is happening, and I was so over. One, I I'm so glad Aaron Rodgers didn't come to us. People kept saying he might because we don't have a quarterback, which fine, we don't. But we basically haven't had one for three
Yeah,
years
but if
anyways.
you don't have Aaron, if you had Aaron Rodgers, you still wouldn't have a quarterback.
Right, that's what I've been saying. And no one listens. Everyone's like, well, no, he's like, and like it's one of the guys that's like a seasoned like Saints fan too. And I was like, Jesus Christ, how do you not know? How are you not with me? But yeah, so I'm thrilled to see that he didn't go to the Saints. Maybe we'll just play without a quarterback this year. Might go better. We'll see. Um,
I would,
but
I hope at least that when you come to Buffalo, you don't have a quarterback, just so I can watch how that would function.
wouldn't that be so funny? Um, but it all came to my brain because I was listening to my sports podcast on the way home.
Yeah.
And I had just seen Aaron Rodgers signing, and like I had just gotten the notification on Chubb. And I got home to book mail. And so I sign up for all the like Goodreads giveaways. And if I'm even like remotely interested, I sign up for
I
them.
have not won one yet. I've signed up for so many of them and I haven't won anything.
I've won four this year.
What
I
a bitch.
don't, are you one, are you consistent? Two, do you write reviews or do you just star things?
No, I write reviews. I write reviews for every book I finish. But I also like I sign up for every giveaway that I get an email about reminding me like, oh, this is on your watch list. But it's because I don't spend enough time on the website actually looking at active
That's what
giveaways.
you gotta do. So I do once a week on Sundays. I look at the giveaways that are ending that week and sign up for the giveaways ending that week. And then I'll do it the next Sunday too. And then
Mhm.
like once the day is over, I go in and remove all of them that I don't actually aren't on my want to read list already because it's too long and I don't need to add stuff.
Right.
Um, so I got book mail today and I was like, could be interesting to read. We'll see if I want. And then I want it. It is Brady versus Belichick, the dynasty debate. And I'm not a Patriots fan. I don't even like Tom Brady. I think he is the most plain person that has ever walked on this planet. Like, if man is just a person, it's Tom Brady. And I,
God.
in
Yeah.
Belichick, I mean, he's, I feel bad because he's like this legend of a coach
Yeah.
who has just made himself into a joke. And it sucks for him because his girlfriend or wife, I'm they're married, is like 12. She's not, but she is in her 20s, and he's like, what,
Yeah.
74? Like, they're obviously, it's not like a true love situation. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. This is me coming out hot on it because so many people want to be like, no, they just found each other. They met on a plane. It came out like they finally admitted they didn't meet on a plane because everybody knew they didn't meet on a plane. Um, but I mean, it's by Gary Myers, who wrote Brady versus Manning, which obviously was a big deal. So I guess if anybody's gonna write about the Patriots and make it interesting, maybe he will. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of interested to read it just to kind of see
Okay.
how it goes. Um, but it came in today, and I thought it was. I think I told you I'm on the what is the book when I do? Used books. The used
Yeah.
books one where it's like $10 a month. So I thought of my used book subscription. And I was like, I think that's the 15th. I think I'm at the wrong time. But no, it was a free book. It was advanced reader's copy. I don't know when it comes out. I guess I should look at that because you're technically supposed to read it before it comes out. And I was surprised because St. Lawrence, oh my gosh, it's selling for $31. Oh, that's the hardcover. It's selling for $31.
Wow.
People are gonna buy it. What am I looking at? The date. Oh, and I got a little thing. Hmm. That's nice. I think this is the book I was actually supposed to get.
What?
So, so I did also pick this one, but there's another one. It was supposed to be a big mess in Texas, the craziest story about the Dallas Texans. Um, which so I got this book, Brady versus Belichick,
Yeah.
which I also added, but my paper says congratulations. Uh,
Oh.
so there was a lot of confused people. I'm gonna have to send them a message and be like, I'm so sorry you've messed up. Um, but I will also read the book you sent me. I'm happy to also read the other article you sent it.
Right.
Um, because I am indeed ready for football season in June. Anyway,
Yeah.
so happy day for all of us. Your brother-in-law became a citizen and I got a football book.
Yeah.
So
And now I'm going through it. the giveaways that are ending today.
Hmm.
And
Well, maybe take a slight break and tell us some
yeah,
good
absolutely.
news. What is the word I'm looking for? Affirmation? I don't know. Say nice
Yeah,
things.
affirmation. Anyway, it's the ending quote from the same episode where George and Meredith. Whew, all right. So, one way or another, our karma will leave us to face ourselves. We can look our karma in the eye, or we can wait for it to sneak up on us from behind. One way or another, our karma will always find us. And the truth is, as surgeons, we have more chances than most to set the balance in our favor. But no matter how hard we try, we can't escape our karma. It follows us home. I guess we can't really complain about karma. It's not unfair, it's not unexpected, it just evens the score. And even when we're about to do something we know will tempt karma to bite us in the ass, well, it goes without saying, we do it anyway.
Okay, it's not wrong, but also I don't love it.
I don't love it.
Doesn't give me like happy feelings. But it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, today we are coming up towards the end. We are on Clarice season 1, episode 11. Achilles heel. So we're gonna have a Greek mythology episode, in case you're
Yup.
wondering. It aired. Guess what date it aired?
Oh boy.
June 10th, 2021. Do you know what today is?
That's today. Oh my God,
That's
so I can
today.
just look at my time hop to figure out what I did instead of trying to scroll through Facebook.
Yes. Yes. It was rated 7.3 out of 10. I want you to know, I wrote that down and I was so excited to tell you. Like, literally for like an hour. I was like, this is so exciting.
Oh
Um,
my
it's the
gosh.
little things. Um, our number one song is still Butter. Our number one movie, yes.
My
Yes.
time hop jumps from 3 years ago to 5 years ago. I posted zero things on the internet on this day. I was so
This is when you
excited.
were, this
So
was when you were in
excited.
Texas. Right? Is that why you weren't posting? Because you were visiting Brie?
Maybe. That I can easily find out because my Google timeline never fails me.
I'm like, time hop.
Unlike time hop. But
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so our number one song is Butter. And our number one movie is A Quiet Place 2, which I still haven't watched, but still beat 2. Um, and the number one book, did you find your Google or has it failed you also?
no, it didn't fail me. I went to Starbucks and
Okay.
then I went to the Galleria Mall to go to Macy's.
That's in Dallas. Is there a
Oh,
Galleria in Houston?
yeah, a gallery. No, that's in Niagara Falls, like in Buffalo. There's a gallery. No,
Oh.
a gallery is just a type of mall.
Are you
I
saying Gallery?
Galleria.
So that's the name of the big mall in Dallas, is the Galleria. Grapevine Mills Galleria, and they call it
Oh,
the
yeah,
Galleria.
yeah. No, that's ours is the Walden Galleria, but we just call it the
Gotcha.
Galleria. Galleria is a
Gotcha.
type of mall.
Right, right, right. I
Yeah.
just assumed because I thought you were in Texas.
No, I wasn't in Texas.
Yes, so it seems.
I must
Oh,
have. When did I come? When?
you just had a chill day.
Yeah, when did I go to I must have been back from Texas at that point.
Yeah. Um, well, the number one book of the day is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. And I just recently talked about this book
Hmm.
because we read it for when did when did Zach come visit me? Post Mardi Gras, I think. So March, maybe our March book, our April book. Um,
It's something like that.
and it's the one that's the Apple TV show that I started and never realized I started. That I just thought
Oh.
was okay. I enjoyed the read of it, but the story itself is just fine. Um, but yeah, so that's probably when I put it on my TBR, and then I finally read it. So
Mm,
here we
I
are,
I
four
came
years
back from
later.
Texas on May 28th, so I was
Mm,
yeah.
yeah, you were for sure back. Well, other things that happened on this day, this is when El Chapo was recaptured.
Nice.
I distinctly remember this because I was living in New York at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's where he was sent to.
Yeah.
And uh, my handwriting, and this pen was super light. Zahid Quraish was the first Muslim federal judge in America, and they are based in New Jersey. So
Nice.
those are the things that happened this day that weren't devastating.
That
Um,
weren't devastating.
yes, everything else was COVID and war. So, you
Yeah.
know. Um, our director is Christopher J. Byrne. Our writers are Judy Momet, Alex Kurtzman, Elizabeth Kraviter, Klaviter, Tess Leibowitz, and Lydia Tefera. And our editor is Scott Damson, so no one new there. Our guest star is Douglas Smith, who plays Tyson Conway. And he is known for Big Little Lies, Seven Bills, Big Love, and Don't Worry, Darling, which is why I recognize his face.
Oh my God. Yes.
Because
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Got it.
I was like, I recognize him, but not like in a way that like I've seen him
Yeah.
a million times in something.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely recognize him from Big Little Lies, Don't Worry, Darling. Um, it so he graduated with his degree in humanities, and it took him 16 years to graduate. I did not go look into this further to see why. I'm sure it was filming or this and that, but it was 16 years that he was technically trying to graduate from college. Um,
Wow.
and in 2020, so leading up to this star role in Clarice, he released a solo EP titled The Julius. And I did not listen to it yet. I don't even know what type of music it is, because I was listening to my sports podcast.
I'll be
I'm not even
honest,
gonna pretend why.
I won't listen to it ever.
Yeah.
So
I am
unless it
curious.
somehow pops up on my Spotify in a different playlist.
Yeah. I am curious. I probably will look it up at some point, but I did these notes before I left work and then did not listen to it because I wanted to listen to Katie Nolan and not die while I was driving home.
Yeah.
Um, which felt like a reasonable thing to do. Um, so we start with Clarice in bed, tossing and turning. And we're like, oh gosh, my pen went out in the middle of this sentence. Oh, we're like working our way through this memory that we've left with her and her father.
Yeah.
The police car and the men on the street that we saw in the therapy session last time.
Yeah.
Uh, and she keeps flashing back and forth between her dad memory and the murder board. So we're just popping back and forth until she's awakened and Matt comes and finds her just sitting in the kitchen floor. And she's like, I just can't sleep. She's
Yeah.
like, cool, cool. So we go to VICAP and they're all talking about the murder board and all this, that. And they're like, yeah, we're talking about profiles. We need to profile this. And she's like, we need to do a, a profile of the man behind the conspiracy. She's like, it's one thing to like have all these ideas of why these things happen, but we need the bigger picture and not
Yeah.
just each individual murder.
Yeah.
Um, and so then they start looking at it like it's a narcissistic serial killer. And here's my first problem with this episode. um, we fought back and forth in the beginning, but
To
this was not
say
a serial
to
killer.
say that it wasn't a serial killer. Yeah.
And now this is how we're profiling them. And while it may be the correct thing, and while it may have taken some time to get there, had she followed the rules at the beginning and treated it as a serial killer case, we would have gotten there faster. And like
Yes.
it just feels a little circular in the writing.
It does. No, no, no. It's definitely circular in the writing. I think logically in terms of like what information they had and as a human being, it's the right thing to do because the three
Right.
murders were not a serial killer until you look at it as, and it's almost like it's not even necessarily a serial killer but like a serial criminal. Like it
Right.
what is like it is like it's like profiling somebody like Al Capone or the mafia and like
Hmm.
it's not just the murder, it's the entire picture. And that
Yeah.
is different from a serial killer in the sense that a serial killer has an MO and a reason that they kill, but it's often very much like a traumatic, like that's why like they have an MO. They have one type of crime that they always commit. And you can find escalation, you can find certain abnormalities, but it's like Ted Bundy wasn't going to suddenly start killing black men.
Yeah.
Like that just wasn't going to happen.
No, that was not it.
So, and like Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't going to start killing like middle-aged women. They
Hmm.
had a specific thing crime that they were doing. The specific crime that this person is doing is not serial killing. It is
Right.
the entire picture. It's the Bernie Madoff like aspect to it. And
Yeah.
so I don't while I don't like the way it was written in that case that you're saying,
Hmm.
I do, as a character choice, understand why it is a different process.
Right. 100%. And I 100% agree that this is what needs to be done. And I agree that it could have started out as a conspiracy idea that transitioned to this as they learned more about it over time. However, it's because of how much of an issue we made this in the first episode or two,
Yeah.
and then we just kind of came back to it. That's the problem I
But we
have.
also made
And
such a huge issue in the second episode about her dad being the best guy in the world, and that's why she was able to solve these crimes. And then turns out that's a fucking lie too. The
but that's
show's
a
just,
cliche. Like that's more of a cliche standard that they just
I know,
overdid.
again, it's just
Whereas
bad.
this is just bad circular writing.
Yeah. I will say the twist in this episode was probably the first time though that I didn't hate how they
Yeah,
like I
I agree.
actually this episode it had some of the this is bad writing. However,
Right.
later in this episode there were conversations and scenarios that were like the first time in the entire show that I thought something was well written.
Right.
So
Yes,
it's
I
very
agree.
frustrating for it to both ends of the spectrum to exist in one episode.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that has to do with is that we get Claveter back. I've already forgot her first name.
Oh, Cal
Elizabeth
Penn?
Claveter.
Oh no.
No, Elizabeth Claveter, who was the writer for Grey's Anatomy too. She's the one who used to write for Grey's
Oh, right,
Anatomy,
right,
and
right. And
she's
no, and
back
she
this
and
episode.
we liked the episode that
Hmm.
she wrote.
And so I'm thinking that she probably has a lot more to do with it because it's her and Tefera, Lydia Tefera, but her episode was just fine, the one that she was on before.
Yeah.
Um, so like I think that's really what had a lot to do with this episode.
Okay, that's fair.
Um, so then we go over to Joe, who's going through the packet of the merger. Just he's
Hmm.
like got his everything going through. He's in his meeting. We go back to Vicap, and Matt starts talking about the design. She's like, there's flourishes. It's not just like signatures. It's not just this flourishes. And they're like, oh, he's an artist. Um, and Matt believes it's Hudlin. Everyone believes it's Hudlin. At this time, I thought it was Hudlin. So
Hmm.
that's fair. Fine. Um,
Which is funny because as they're describing it, I still believed it was Hudlin. I believe that Hudlin could have a secret, like,
mhm.
second life to him. But
Yeah.
I also immediately questioned what he could possibly be artistic about. Like, he's not a character that is
Right.
artistic. Like, I very much felt like either he's completely living a double life or something is coming. Because,
So I thought it was gonna be poor writing because I was like, it's not that's not his character, but I thought they were making it his character. And I
mm,
was like,
which
they're trying
is
to visualize this.
honestly also so possible with the way the show's
Right.
written.
And I was like, it feels almost when they start talking about the artistic and they talk about the collage and stuff and how he's creating this masterpiece of everything. And I was like, are we trying to take some of the elements that people liked in Hannibal and recreate them
I did
through
feel very
this?
much like they were describing Hannibal Lecter.
And it felt like, well, it felt like the show Hannibal, like how we had all of our artistic elements to it, and how it everything flourished, everything was by design. And I was like, are we waiting until the end of the season to be like, oh, our season sucks. We should put something else in there. Like maybe we should tie in Hannibal more. I don't know when these. I haven't done the full background of when these were released. So I don't know if it was like a mid-season split or something that they were still recording.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, when they were filmed versus when they were, yeah.
yeah. Um, and so then Map is paged to her boss, so she's gone. And then Julia calls, and she starts saying that they're closing the merger. And as she's telling them, and they're like, "Stop doing stuff. Like, just sit down. Just wait. Just stop doing stuff." And then Joe shows up.
Let me tell you, Julia immediately went from being like, I don't want anything to do with you to I am a part of the FBI.
Right, 100%, 100%, 0 to 100. Like, my God. And then we get our credits. So we're back at Nightcap, and Cal's back.
Yay.
And they do address that he was gone, which is nice. I was surprised, but please. They said that
But
he
then
was
also when
gone.
they said that, I do vaguely remember them saying he had to go help his in-laws with something and that it was after his wife died and they were moving. And I was like, oh, I vaguely remember that that conversation happened. Okay. And like, great.
I did not remember it at all.
It definitely happened. So they did mention it before he disappeared and then they mentioned it after he disappeared. But also the show's so badly written that I had to be like, oh, nope, that was in there.
Right.
That was in there.
Yeah. So he did indeed go see his in-laws. And then they're like talking everything through, and Paul's like, we have to go to Ruth. Like it's hit the point where we need to start getting evidence legally now so that we can actually use it.
And
She's
Cal's
like,
like, I missed a
yeah.
lot.
He's like, some things happened while I was gone. Um, so we go to Matt, she's talking to her boss, and he's like, oh, okay, so I've gotten your complaint. And she's like, uh-huh. And he's like, and you're absolutely right. Like, we need to clean house, we need to get things together.
We're part of a
And
team.
yeah, and he's like, I just want you to know that I received it and that we're fine. Like, I want to make sure that we're okay moving forward. And I was like, I should just cut
So,
your arm off right now.
so scummy.
And Matt also obviously knows that, but is playing along as you do.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then we hop over to Paul and Earth. And Paul just tells her everything. He's
Yeah.
like, this is the situation, this is where we're at, this is what we need next. And Ruth is like,
How fucking
no,
dare
she's like,
you?
she's blaming Clarice. And she's like, y'all are doing all this secret stuff. This is bad. I don't know why you're letting Clarice get away with all this. And Paul's like, excuse me, I don't know if you know, but the only reason your daughter's here and safe
It's
is
because
because
Clarice does
Clarice
shit like
didn't
this.
listen. She doesn't listen to anybody because she
Yeah.
wants to get to the bottom of everything. And that of course catches Ruth off guard a bit. Um, and so we go to Clarice and Tyson. And she calls him on the phone and starts talking to him again. And she's like, asking him questions about Headland. And he thinks Headland is a predator. He's like, I had no idea they were going to sell the company. Like, my dad would never allow that. So he's like, obviously, Joe's doing something shady and underhanded.
I gotta
Gotta be.
say, I did not like Tyson and Clarice in this episode because
No, it didn't feel like regular.
it didn't. And they bring it in later as if she's got like emotional feelings for him. And
Yeah.
I want to know where the fuck that came from.
Yeah, what is this romantic relationship that they've
It
developed?
was never in the show before.
Mm-mm. Sure wasn't. And like they're trying to like hold him over, like trying to hold him over her
They're like
head. And I'm like,
blackmailing her with her relationship with him, which, as far as I took it, was just a CI. Like, I don't. An
right. And like,
unwilling CI at that. Like,
right. Like she might care in the sense that like he's a person and she doesn't like people to get hurt. But they definitely made it and insinuated that like she cared because she was like they were in love or something.
she
I was
was
like,
falling for him. And I was like,
that's not what's happening here. And if it is,
what?
they didn't tell us.
They did.
So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Um,
It was.
but yeah. Um, but then they try to like create another parallel. Like, you remember we talked about parallels last episode too? But they try to create another parallel because he's like, oh, by the way, like, you lost your father as a girl, and then I gained mine as an adult. So, like, we're the same but different. And it's like you are all pushing a lot of boundaries. You're all pushing a lot of
Everyone's
different
just making shit up.
storylines.
People are just
For sure.
saying things. People are just saying unhinged things and we're pretending that it's real dialogue.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And it's like, it's what I think happened. They had like five writers over an episode. So what I think happened is they were like, you all write some lines, and then we're just gonna put them in there where we feel like they should go. Doesn't matter if it makes sense with anyone
With no
else's.
correlation to what character
No
is saying
context,
them.
no correlation.
Like you write a line and you write a line and then I'll pick out of a hat which character says it.
Yeah, yeah. And even if it doesn't make sense in the conversation, it's fine. We'll just make them make their eyes a little softer. I make them look to the side, make it look a little shady, change the lighting. Like it's what it's absolutely bonkers how they've created the show. Um, I mean, I do fully understand why there's some second season, but
Right. No,
wild.
I remember when we first watched it, we like watched the first episode and we were talking about like the show and we were like, I don't understand where like what went
Yeah.
wrong. I do now.
Because we were like, it's not terrible. It's just like it's just
It's
average.
just
But like
boring.
that's
It's
not a reason
average.
to not keep it going.
Because a lot of shows on
No.
TV are boring and average. Nope, no.
Sure.
This is this is
This is a
bad.
lot.
It is
Yeah.
objectively bad.
Objectively. Yeah, like I can't wait to find all of the
And
good
it's not even fun
reviews.
bad. I was thinking about this last week. I
Yes.
was thinking about this last week and the shows that we have reviewed on this podcast. Um, and like Kolchak wasn't bad. It was just very 70s.
I was gonna say, but like at its time, it was a good show.
Correct. I mean, it had some cheesy moments that were probably
But it
cheesy
was the
even in the 70s though.
Sure.
But like, okay, Hemlock Grove was the kind of bad that you hate watch because it's so bad it's good.
But then you tell other people to watch it and they watch it so you can all talk about it. Like
Correct.
that's that
Yeah.
type of show. Yeah.
It's basically reality TV. It's so bad it's good. You
Mhm.
have to watch it. This is just objectively bad. And if I never finished the season, I wouldn't
I
be
wouldn't.
missing anything.
No.
And I'm a person who has never DNF'd a book in my entire life. And I would be okay with not finishing this show.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah, and, like,
objectively bad.
The thing is, like, I don't even think we're gonna get an answer at the end. I obviously don't
No.
know. I don't think we're gonna get an answer at the end, so it's not even like you could look up and be like, I don't need to watch it, but
I
I
mean,
just want to know like
here's
what
the thing.
happened. We probably
By the end of
know.
this episode, I do know what happened. I know the entire rest of the plot. I don't know how they're gonna get from A to B, but I
Right.
know what B is.
Yeah. Right.
So
So we're back with our lovers, and they're comparing their lives to each other and whatnot. And then he just like calls her out for going after Joe. He tells her at the beginning of this conversation, Joe is a predator.
yeah.
And then at the end of the conversation, he's mad because she's going after Joe. Like,
Again,
it has been 10 seconds.
two different people wrote the two different pieces of the scene.
Yeah. So then we go back to Ruth, and Catherine calls her. And she's like, oh my God, they let you call me? And she's like, I'm literally not in prison. Like, I can call you.
Yeah, she's like, basically, I just didn't call you before because I needed to get my shit together.
Right. But just like good and fair.
Yes.
But she says like she finally like feels okay. She's like, I don't feel lonely. I don't feel crazy. And
She's
then
like,
she
everybody
thinks
here
her-
is also struggling, and it makes me feel like
Mhm.
I'm a person again.
Yeah. And she thanks her for sending Clarice to go get her. And I'm like, if only you knew. Ruth don't know nothing. Clarice made all these choices by herself. She just allowed them.
But then I gotta say, it fucking works because Ruth changed her entire fucking tune after that, and I
Yep.
was here for it. That was part of probably the only part of the writing of the show that I like of this episode that I was really no. I like the dialogue in
The
scene.
scene leader.
We'll off the scene later. We'll talk about that. But in terms of character consistency, Ruth's stubbornness and then Catherine's healing being what helps Ruth heal was the first time I felt like I understood her character. Of course, you have to remember this is now episode 13 and it's like the 18th different time we thought we understood Ruth's character, so who fucking knows what next time's gonna happen.
Right.
But
we still have 2 episodes left. She could be 3 different people still.
Yeah. So
you never know. Yeah. So then we go back to Matt and Garrett, and she starts telling him about the boss creating a narrative, and they kind of go back and forth. None of this really matters right now.
No.
But, you know, it
I
is what it is.
really, based on the deleted scenes all being of Ardelia or Paul, I really think that they had too many storylines going and they needed, not that I'm mad, like I mean we've talked about how I feel about the Black Coalition and the way that it's written, but they really needed to cut it. They cut pieces of it, but they didn't cut it enough. There's too much of it still based on how much time they have to tell a story.
Yeah, because they really could have cut that and just thrown Ardelia into the Whitecap team.
Yeah.
If they wanted her to have more screen time, great. Give her more screen time where she deserves it. Like
And she could
where
even
it makes
still
sense.
have social justice issues as a part of that. Like Julia's
Sure,
character.
absolutely.
Are you kidding? Julia's character, after me being like, they've written this poor trans woman so badly, favorite character this episode. So like,
Yes.
so they could still have had her have a social justice angle. They still could have
Yeah.
had the problems between her and Clarice getting promotions faster or more inappropriately than she did. Fine. But the Black Coalition and the lawyer and the her being on a different team, it's just too much extra story.
Yeah. And if you were gonna have 5 seasons, great. Make it a storyline. You have 13 episodes.
They really thought they ate though. They really thought
Yeah.
that they were locked in and that this was going to go
Hmm.
somewhere, and it
Well,
surely did
to be
not.
fair, most nostalgia prequels or new revamps have just for the sense of what they brought back. However, we didn't get that because we couldn't even use Hannibal here.
Correct. They
But everything else runs for at least 3 seasons, whether it's good or not. If it's a prequel or a revamp, but not this show.
no, because the show was so objectively bad that
Yeah,
it broke the nostalgia.
it broke it broke everything. Um, yeah. So speaking of Julia, she shows up to work and she ends up on the 5th floor in research and development, and it's like completely cleared out. And she sees they're still removing boxes from the side offices and stuff, like the storage rooms. And so she calls back up immediately to tell them everything's gone. And she just keeps putting herself in the middle. And Clark is like, stop being Nancy Drew. What is wrong with you? Like, go sit down. You're gonna get in trouble. Like, we've
I'm
got
kind of
this.
obsessed with this Clark feeling like he gained his little sister back again
I
with
know
Julia.
with the
I'm
short pink hair.
obsessed with the way he's like, "What
It's
are you
precious.
doing?
Yeah.
Stop!"
I love it. I do love it. And then Clarice tells Paul everything. Um, she's telling him about the mosaic, and she's telling him about Julie and everything. Oh, this is what I talked about mosaic. I was early.
Yeah.
Um, and then Clarice says that she wants to have a talk with Joe. And he's like, sure. And she's like, great. He's like, but you have to take Cal out of school. You
Yeah.
can't go alone. This is the one you can't go alone to.
And she's like, "But I just think," and he goes, "No,
Yeah. He's
no."
like, stop saying I. It is not about you. And I was like, preach, Paul. Preach. Um, so we go to the clinic or the company. I don't know if this is the actual clinic. But she comes face to face, like she walks in and she's making a plan and then comes face to face with Joe and starts having immediate flashbacks, which is fair. Trauma and whatnot. And then they're pretending like they don't know anything. They're like, we're just here to talk. We don't know anything going on. And then Cal starts bringing up Naomi, and he's like, how am I supposed to keep up with all these like sales reps? Like, there's so many of them. One died. I can't know why or how.
I mean, and to be fair, if I had 7,400 people that I had to be keeping track of at one time, I wouldn't know their personal life either.
Right. Like if I killed them, sure I'd know. However, if
Ah,
I didn't, I may or may not know.
yeah.
I would have probably heard someone die in the company because that's how companies work usually, but
Yeah.
like you may not know their name.
Listen, there's maybe 100 teachers in my building. Maybe. There's a retirement party next week, and I looked at the list of the teachers who are retiring. Quite literally, have never met a single one of them.
Well, see.
So,
So
so
yeah.
I don't
No, I
blame you.
have it's very fair that that's a logical argument.
Yes.
Incorrect, but logical.
Yeah.
Um,
To be fair, I mean, oh no, I guess it is incorrect because he killed her,
right,
or
exactly.
at least had some kind of hand in it.
Yeah. And so he's like, and so why he's like, I don't know what you want me to like,
Hmm.
say about all this. Like, I don't know anything about this. And she's like, I thought you were general counsel. And he was like, what? And she's like, yeah, you're watching and monitoring all of these sales reps, plus you're handling the merger. And that sets him off. Because
So how the
obviously
fuck do
we're not
you
supposed to know
know?
about the merger. Yeah. And Joy is still snooping around. We just see her for a bit. And then we go back to Joe and he starts asking for everyone's name. He's like, tell me everyone at the FBI who has this like idea in their head. And she's like,
They just
the,
go, that's not how that
yeah,
works.
yeah, absolutely. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you everyone's name so you can kill them. Sure. Um, and then we get a notice from a guy that Mr. Hagen has specifically asked to talk to Clarice and Clarice only. And Mr. Hagen is Tyson's dad. And so Cal and Escobar are talking to Joe, and they're being so like bad cop, like kind of like joking around vibes. They're like, "You screwed up. That's why she's got to
Right.
go talk to the big guy."
Yeah, right.
And then she just would go into his office, Neil's office, and he asked her about her interest in his son. In their
Which is
love
the
life.
first
I don't know.
time that I found out that she had an interest in his son.
Right. Yes. Yes. We've all learned this together in this moment. Um, and we learn that Niels is not only the owner of this whole company, but an artist, and he has art all over his wall. Um,
Yeah.
and says the oh, she's like, this art is really bold, and he's like, yeah, that bold art is based on Alistair. And then they start having this mythological conversation, and so Alistair is the son of Kronos, who we vaguely know from Stargate.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have more information on this than I do?
Yeah, so Alistair is I believe Alistair is he's not a god. He's part of the
Right.
Greek mythos. He's a son of Kronos. He's not a god. He is the spirit of divine retribution. Kronos was so afraid the of of dying or of having his power taken away that he killed all of his children.
Right.
However, one of his children survived, Alistair. Alistair is not a very commonly used name in Greek
Hmm.
mythology. Alistair is Zeus. When they talk about Alistair, they talk about the spirit, the retribution, that story. But
Hmm.
Alistair is Zeus. Zeus is the only child of Kronos that survived.
Gotcha. I somehow missed that correlation.
Yeah. Yes.
That makes
So,
sense.
not only, and so obviously, if you know anything about Greek mythology, you know that not only did Zeus survive Kronos, Zeus also took over all of the power of the Titans and became the most powerful god in the Greek mythos and the Olympian dynasty. And so, not only did Kronos like lose all of his children, he also lost everything that he was trying to protect by getting rid of his children. So,
So the
Alistair
correlation
was
here
Alistair is the downfall of Zeus. Or
is
I'm sorry,
that
Alistair is the downfall of Kronos and
so the
Tyson.
correlation here is that Nils has killed all of these kids. And Tyson survived, and he tried to send him away because he was his only kid, so he wasn't going to kill him. But he tried to send him away. But now that he's back, he's going to be the downfall of Alistair. No, of Nils, who is essentially Kronos.
Kronos, which
And he's
is
going to either take over this company and become another big bad, or he's going to fix everything.
which is totally, and I think that they did a really good job in the writing of the scene, the dialogue of the scene in Clarice putting those pieces together and
Mm-hmm.
explaining the Greek pantheon. If you know absolutely nothing about Greek mythology, it was very subtle and well known. And by using Alistair instead of Zeus, there was like
Yeah.
a way of trying it to make it clever. However, if you do know Greek mythology, that shit is so heavy-handed and so in your face that he's
Right.
the fucking bad guy. Like, there's no getting around it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
100%.
is very much written for an audience that is not at the intelligence level that I am at.
Yeah,
Which is, listen, everybody needs something.
sure. But you can't pretend like this show isn't that and then make it that, you know?
Yeah. And here's the
That's
thing,
the problem.
people don't like Hannibal Lecter. People don't read Thomas Harris books if they are too dumb to know Greek mythology. Like
Right.
that's just like I get that the Silence of the Lambs film became a bigger thing, but if you care enough about the Thomas Harris universe to be watching a show that is in that universe but isn't connected to Hannibal Lecter, you're not dumb enough to and that okay, dumb is a terrible word. Dumb is a pejorative word and I don't mean it that way. I just
Yeah.
mean that the average IQ of someone who heavily reads Thomas Harris books and the average IQ of somebody who would need Greek mythology explained to them in the way that Clarice just explained it aren't in the same universe.
Right. Right. Because, like, if you say Alistair's based off of Promise Son, I would say, I don't really remember the story, but I've heard these things before. And then I would come ask you about it.
Yeah.
However, between the back and forth between the two of them, you may not actually know the Greek story,
But now
but
you
you do
do.
know but you do know what is
Yeah,
going to
but now
happen in the
you know
show.
that Niels is absolutely the one killing everyone. He's behind
Mhm.
everything, and Tyson is going to be the way that they get to him, whether it's because he becomes a problem or a solution. Either way,
Right.
you just told me the plot of the next two episodes.
You told us exactly what the story is about now. Yeah. Why are we coming back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is why I said I now know what B is. Don't know how they're going to get from A to B.
Right.
Don't trust that it's going to make sense, but I know what it is.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, so oh, so he starts saying he's like, I don't know anything about this rep either. He's like, but I do know that all women are tainted. And Clarice is like,
Before they even start talking about the art and getting into the Zeus and Kronos thing, he says something about women, and I just go, oh, fuck, he killed everybody. Like,
yeah.
immediately. Just the
Yeah.
way he says the
I
word
mean,
women. I was like,
when
oh.
I once we walked in the door and I saw that he wasn't this
To be
fragile,
fair,
crippled man.
when we walked in the door and I saw just like the back of his hand at the desk and the way that he spoke, I was like, did they get around this by making it Hannibal, but not Hannibal. Like I truly
That's
thought that
fair,
that's
yeah.
the direction we were going. And then I was like, oh no, but they're not good enough.
No. And but like as soon as we like landed this off, I was like, oh, he's the one. like there's no question anymore.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So then Joya strikes gold and she finds the Represol trials and she takes some files. She calls Clark and Clark tries to get Paul on the line. He's not paying attention. He just throws the book at his window
Yeah.
and gets attention. And they talk, and Paul comes over there. And then Carl and Escobar are trying to ask more questions of Joe when they get paged that Julia needs help. And so Escobar is sent off to go help her, and they make it kind of seem like he's going to get coffee for her. It's
Yeah.
like always the grunt work, which is not convincing, but whatever. So we're
Yeah.
back in Neil's office, and they're discussing his obsession with films. Um, and then, about Alistair, and then the others were eating, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and then he says that Tyson is the same kind of miracle. Like, it is literally so heavy handed. It is so wild. Um, and he wants her to tell him everything that they've talked about. He's like, what have you and my son talked about? And she's like, what? Like, this is not it. And then we hop back over, and Joya starts faxing things. She's like, I don't have time to bring this to you. I can't take the files out of here. So I'm just going to fax it. But, fax machines, for those of you who don't know, are quite slow
And loud.
and very loud. So She's locked herself in, but
But
obviously
also,
the security.
to be fair, 1993, absolutely, that was the thing somebody would have done is
Oh
to
my God.
max it.
That is the only op. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the only option. I mean, there's
yeah.
obviously another one we'll get to, but like that's the only option she has. So like, it's the smart one. It's just not a very good one. Um,
It's not a very stealthy mode of
right. And so the security realizes the door's locked, go to unlock it, and then as they're trying to get in, he calls about the security guy's calling about Julia to say where she's at, and Escobar follows. And we go back to Cal, who's asking about the narcotics repertoire. And he's like, look, these people are ODing, these people are like all dying from it. What kind of narcotics are in this? Um, and then we hop back to the office. And Clarice is telling him that Tyson said he was a great father, which is true. Those are the things he said. And then she's like, but why did you only have one child? Like, what is about this? And then he starts telling her that she's job to destructive men who are the exterminators. They're the ones getting rid of the like excess people or whatever. And I want you to know because I just like it's Doctor Who game. All I could think was exterminate like the Daleks.
That's so funny. That's so
It took
funny.
too much out of me while I was watching this.
My
Um,
problem was that I was like, I literally, it was just not good enough for me to even make a connection.
well,
Except for
and
that,
he's
you know, um, you know the scene in Toy Story 2 with this is so fucking out of pocket. You know the scene in Toy Story 2 where the guy is repairing Woody for the toy collection and it's that old guy with the like glasses?
mhm.
I pictured like that, but with like a fucking magnifying glass to burn bugs. Like I pictured him leaning over the desk like that, like using his fucking eyeballs to burn bugs.
Jesus, I mean that would be this guy if it was anyone, so that's fair.
It's
Because the next thing
unhinged,
he
but like that's the level of
right.
daydreaming I do while watching the show because I can't focus on it.
Well, and the next thing he says, he starts saying how women are bugs, and
Yeah.
she's the one bug that got away. Like he's just so misogynistic. Like it is so heavy-handed. But then he gets fussy when she starts asking if he doubts Tyson is his. Because she's like, maybe you don't think he's his, and that's what bothers you about him. And he gets super fussy about that.
Yeah.
Um, and then we go back, and Joe's pulling him out of the office. And this is the first time she sees the fake police officer, the one that killed the hitman,
Yeah.
and at the police station. Um, and she hears them talking and saying to take care of Lawson, who is Julia. And then the team is now reunited, and they go to find Julia in the basement. And the quote unquote fixer, as I called him, takes the incident report that the security guard was creating and says they'll take care of it. And he takes Julia. And they're taking her to a secondary location, which, if you know anything,
You
John Mulaney
know,
tells you
don't
not to
let
do
them take
that.
you to a secondary location.
Right. So they go to get her, our backup team, and Joe just like pops out. And he says he's coming to get Joy. He's like, no, 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 there's all been a misunderstanding. Like, she works here, she's an accountant. Like, I know we heard that there was someone stealing files or messing with files, but it's not her. Like, she's an employee here. Like, let her go.
It was
Obviously to
all a
save
big
face.
misunderstanding.
Right. And so they let her go, and she goes back with that guy.
And they do a very
And
good job of pretending they've never seen her before, I will say.
they did a very good job of that. And so they go back to the offices, and Clarice tells them it's Nels, not Joe. She's concerned Tyson is in danger, and Paul wants to use Tyson as leverage still. He's like, this is still our in. Like, I get that this is for some reason not what you want to do. I guess he's in love with your life, so you want to leave him out of it, but like, this is our play. And then Julia's like, you know the darkest thing? I couldn't fax those papers because I ran out of time. But do not fret, because what I did instead was mail them to my grandma's house. And I was like, you woman are a genius. I
And
was
and
like, I
I thought Murray was gonna jump out of his seat and kiss her at that moment. Like right,
I know.
not in a romantic way, just like right
No.
on the fucking forehead. Like,
Yeah.
you beautiful thing, you.
They are besties now. Clark and Julia are like the new dream team.
Yeah. And he
Um,
said, I told you she was Nancy Drew.
yeah. So we go back to Map and Garrett, and we learn that Garrett gets quote unquote promoted to the boonies to basically be construction security on this new office that they're creating. Um, and he's like, either way, whether I accept this or not, it's my career. I don't accept it, it's basically a resignation. A resignation. If I do, I'm just tossed out in the middle of nowhere. No one's really gonna deal with me ever again. And she's like, this is the way it is. This is what we wanted it to be. And she says, you tell me when you can't breathe, and I'll tell you. And again, this is fine. This is what we like. This is the phrasing that they used from George Floyd, which is fine. This is not the same time. This is not the same time. And
Yeah.
it's just in your face. And I just can't with this writing. So we go back to Clarice, and they're putting a security detail of Julia and Aaron from like now on until, which
Yeah.
is the only smart thing to do.
Correct.
And then she calls Tyson, and she learns that his nonprofit is based on funding from Alistair.
Which
Like
I could
he
have
can't
told you
survive
that.
without it. Yes, of course. You have
He's
a rich father.
absolutely daddy's little boy who uses daddy's money to do good things to make up for the bad
Right.
things daddy's company does. It's so fucking
Yeah.
cliche.
You came from nowhere with no money. You said you had no money growing up with your mom. And now you run this nonprofit. That doesn't make money because it's a nonprofit. And you can afford to be alive. Yeah, you're using someone else's money. So obviously it's Alistair's. Um, and then she says that that she would feel heartbroken if he lost everything. She's like, I don't want you to be tied into this. Like, this is such a like disaster. And then he completely feels manipulated and tells her to not call him again. And I was like, this is the most unrealistic scene I've ever seen in my entire life.
Correct.
Like, we go from like we're working together, everything's fine. Like, I really want to help the FBI to apparently lovers to now please don't ever talk to me again. Like, that is not how a relationship works.
No.
Platonic or not. Like, it's just not. And then we get a flashback to dad, and we learn that during this trip, she actually gets out of the car with a ton of money. And she gives it to this man under the streetlight, and he tells her daddy's a thief. And then, oh, and this is when Nap wakes up to her sitting on the floor and asking
Yeah.
about nightmares. And Clarice says that the dreams are all messed up. She's like, nothing is like it seems. Back to Ruth. And she
Th-
receives a call from,
This was my
I guess,
favorite Ruth moment.
yeah, I guess from her bestie Nils, because she answers that he's just calling to chat. The head
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
biggest
it
pharmaceutical
it
company
makes
in
sense.
the
He runs a
AG.
pharmaceutical company, and she was a senator. Where do you think she
Yeah,
got?
that's true. That's true.
Have you met any
Um,
senators?
yeah. And we do learn that he was a huge donor for her candidacy. He's basically the reason that she had the money to run. Um, and then he tries to blackmail her, as they seem to do. And she says she wouldn't impede justice. He says Lila could still press charges because Kat is now not only a victim, but a predator. So that is the end of our episode. Um, we do have
Yeah.
a couple of deleted scenes. We have Carl and Escobar in Joe's office, and Escobar asks if Cal, I wrote Carl, that is not his name. Escobar asked if he helps his
Cal's not
in-laws a
even his
lot.
name in the show.
It's not his Chapati. And he says he talked to them. And he tells, and then he's like, I know that they really want to talk about what happened because she was too sick and they didn't want to be around her till she got better, but she just didn't get better. And so it helps to talk about it. And then he says, they start talking about Jesse, and we learn that he told her about his past. And here's my thing about this with this being a deleted scene. Sure. It's kind of extraneous. We don't really need a lot of it.
Except for
However,
that we spent 52 minutes of last week's episode talking about why Clarice needed to know that
100%.
goddamn much shit about Escobar's dating life.
100%. Like, I was just like, are you kidding me?
We should have
This
had
scene,
that scene instead of the 3 scenes of Ardelia.
yeah, absolutely. I was like, we have, like, this is literally the only thing we care about right now. This is the only thing we talked about last episode. You
I
should
mean,
at
we
least wrap
should
it up.
honestly we should have just not had it last episode or any
We
episode
shouldn't
we
have.
but that's fine. If
But if you're
we
going to, close it. Like, it literally took, what, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? Like, and then our other scene is Paul um called to see called to see about the three agents and says maybe Joe called Paul that word says Joe called
oh
Paul about the three agents who've arrived at the clinic, which is Escobar and Cal and
yeah.
Clarice. And he's like, I don't know what you're playing at, but Mandy's about to get everything. Like, we're about to just like flip this on its head. And he's like, I had no idea they were there. And he's like, sure, Jan, which obviously, yeah, sure, I would believe you either. But then he's like, look, Clarice is just kind of doing what she wants. She's very unstable. And he's like, if you can't get a handle on her, you're no use to me. I'm like, this could have been a good scene to have in there. Could have
Yeah,
taken this over some others, but
correct.
sure, why not? Um, but yeah, so that is the end of our episode. That is the deleted scenes. What are your thoughts?
I've already said most of what I thought, but I 2 weeks can't come soon enough.
You know, I'm interested to see what they're gonna do because I don't think they have anywhere to go from here. Like, I don't think they have anywhere going up. It's all going down.
No.
Um, I will tell you one trivia piece. You're talking about
Ooh.
Alistair. And in Christianity, Alistair is actually someone who possesses people. Um, which is interesting twist. I don't think it has any revelation. Like, I don't think it has anything
I
happening
mean,
here.
to be honest, when I think of Alistair, I think of Alistair Crowley. That's the only name that
Yeah,
comes to my head.
same,
Um,
same.
and I'm pretty sure wasn't that a name he chose?
I think so.
Which would make sense why it has something to do with possession and
Well, it's I
like
mean it's Alistair and Alistor. Like those are
well and Alistair is Alice is ER, Alistair, not even Alistor.
oh I thought it was AIR.
No, Alistair, like Alistair Crowley is AIR.
Right. Alistair, like the clinic is OR, I think.
Oh, but Alistair, the Greek god, is ER.
ER. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think so. I could be wrong, but I'm like pretty sure. Um,
Alistair, the name, is Gaelic.
right. Right. Um, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know where we're going from here. We have more episodes. We'll see what they do. Maybe they'll at least wrap it up so we have a bow at the end. Doubt it, but that'd be nice if we at least closed it up and moved on with our lives.
Alistair Crowley spells it Aleister.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
And it is a chosen name. His name was Edward when he was born.
Interesting. Oh,
Weird.
what a fun fact. And nice.
Anyway,
So that's our episode. So who do you want to punch in the face?
go on. The writers. Tyson.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is
Um,
what?
yeah, he's a
Just
good pick.
what?
Um, I'm gonna go with that with Mills because he's just like the biggest misogynist, and I just hate him.
Yeah. I mean, that is
Uh,
probably the actual correct answer,
I
but
mean, there's a lot of punchable people, but it
that's
is what it is.
true.
So
True.
who's your MVP?
Catherine.
She's a good pick. She's a good pick. She's healing. She's taking care of herself. Um, doing all good things.
She reacted like a human being in
Uh-huh.
this episode, which no one else in the episode apparently did.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Clark.
that's fair. Clark and Julia were also on my list. Julia just made a lot of
I was about to
she
say
almost got herself killed. She
she
did
made some bad moves.
they all had the best intentions, but she
Yeah.
definitely fucked up. But so
Yeah.
Clark
Like I don't dislike her. I'm not mad at her. I definitely don't want to punch her, but I also
couldn't give her
need her to
MVP. Yeah.
right. She's got to do some things differently. Well, if you have thoughts, if you liked the show, please tell us and tell us what
Explain it
things you
to
picked
us.
out about it.
Yeah.
And if it's a nostalgia thing, or if it's a maybe you've never seen Hannibal, maybe you don't know the universe, this is an entirely new show to you. I I still cannot see that even if it was a new show to you, but if it is, please let me know.
Yeah.
Um, but yes.
I was gonna say yeah, if there's something about the show that we are missing or not getting or something,
Yeah.
please like
Yeah,
I'd
you can
love
email us.
I'd love to hear opinions.
Yes, for sure. You can
Probably won't
email
change my
us.
mind, but like
Definitely not. Um, deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CECloud13.
and you can find me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we'll see you Sunday for the start of Stargate Atlantis. Bye.
Bye.